man of Medam. What up, guys? This is Warrior X Will. I am coming to do a few things. We all already know I've played these games already. Coming to look at the special features. Let's look at the history of anthological horror.
The horror anthology is much loved and has an established pedigree across all forms of entertainment. From Twice Told Tales by Nathaniel Hawthorne in 1837 to Clive Barker's Books of Blood in the mid-80s, and with the likes of Blackwood, Poe and Lovecraft in between, short story horror writing has long been a popular format. Largely regarded as the first published horror anthology, Twice Told Tales is a collection of mostly previously published stories from The Token, an annual illustrated gift book published in Boston. The author of Twice Told Tales, Nathaniel Hawthorne, was born on July 4th, 1804, in Salem, Massachusetts. His great-great-grandfather was John Haythorne, a Puritan, and one of the judges who presided at the Salem witch trials of 1692. In 1842, Edgar Allan Poe reviewed Twice Told Tales for Graham's magazine, concluding that Hawthorne was a man of indisputable genius. By this time, Poe, also from the state of Massachusetts, had already written his own collection of short stories for publication. This collection, titled Tales of the Grotesque and Arabesque, was published in 2 volumes in 1839. The horror anthology had become a recognized format, and after also writing many short stories for newspapers and magazines, Algernon and Blackwood's first publication, The Empty House and Other Ghost Stories, was released in 1906. Blackwood went on to write such classics as The Willows and The Wendigo, which was first published in another anthology, The Lost Valley and Other Stories, in 1910. Fast forward 74 years to 1984 and the first publication of Books of Blood. Each book was a collection of horror stories written by British author Clive Barker, the first of which catapulted Barker to legendary status in horror writing, with Stephen King proclaiming him the future of horror. Several of the stories from Books of Blood have been adapted successfully for film, including Rawhead Rex and The Midnight Meat Train. Barker adapted The Yattering Jack in 1986 for use in George A. Romero's anthology TV series Tales from the Dark Side.
I take it you will remain.
Short-form storytelling arrived on a new medium in 1938 when the radio show The Mercury Theatre on Air broadcast an adaptation of Dracula.
I have never seen Count Dracula by day. At sunrise, at the first cockcrow, he is gone.
The series was the creation of Orson Welles and John Houseman and became most famous for its broadcast of War of the Worlds, which terrified listeners, believing that the alien invasion was a reality. From 1942, the radio drama series Suspense broadcast more than 90 short plays on CBS radio for 20 years, often featuring some of Hollywood's leading stars. Initially, the series seldom used material that would be classified as horror, fantasy, or science fiction, but by the late 50s, this became a regular occurrence, including material such as H.P. Lovecraft's The Dunwich Horror. One episode, The Hitchhiker, broadcast in 1942, featured a performance by Orson Welles and was later adapted for an episode of The Twilight Zone in 1960. 1947 saw the debut of Quiet Please, a radio horror and fantasy series created by Willis Cooper. Cooper had been a writer for Orson Welles' Campbell Playhouse, which had succeeded the Mercury Theatre on Air.
Which is written and directed by Willis Cooper and features Ernest Chappell. Quiet Please for tonight is called Camera Obscura.
The play's scripts often broke the fourth wall by speaking directly to the listener, a technique much adopted in later horror anthologies. In his book, Terror on the Air, Horror Radio in America, Richard J. Hand wrote that Cooper had enjoyed creating roles for the audience, including implicating them in the action of the story itself. indicating a clear desire to create horror as interactive entertainment more than 70 years ago. The show ran for 2 years. Forward 50 more years in radio, and in October 2010, we see the debut of Larry Fessenden and Glenn McQuaid's radio show, Tales from Beyond the Pale. Successful genre filmmakers in their respective rights, the two began producing episodes under Fessenden's studio, Glass Eye Pix, influenced by the works of Boris Karloff, Peter Lorre, and Orson Welles. Fessenden would later partner with the show's sound designer, Graham Resnick, to write the scripts for Supermassive Games' critically acclaimed horror debut, Until Dawn, and for the first game in their Dark Pictures horror anthology, Man of Medan. In film and TV, short-format horror has been successfully represented many times since The Twilight Zone in 1959. Created and presented by Rod Serling, The Twilight Zone ran for 5 seasons on CBS from 1959 to 1964. Each show was a standalone story featuring characters faced by surreal and often disturbing events. Serling's introductions and conclusions to each show summarized the story and provided some justification for the events and, often, the moral of the story. In 2016, Rolling Stone placed The Twilight Zone at number 7 in its list of the greatest shows of all time. The 1972 film Tales from the Crypt is highly regarded by fans of the genre. Starring Peter Cushing and Joan Collins and featuring Ralph Richardson as the Crypt Keeper, it is an anthology film based on stories from EC Comics, and one of several Amicus horror anthologies produced in that decade. And in 1989, HBO launched a horror anthology series under the same name, also based on EC Comics, which ran until July 1996. 1982 saw the release of Creepshow, a dark comic horror anthology film directed by George A. Romero. Influenced by and a homage to the material from the EC and DC comics of the 1950s, its entirely original material was written by Stephen King, and it is a somewhat tongue-in-cheek expression of the horror genre. 25 years on, and in 2007, Trick or Treat presents another set of horror shorts as a dark comedy horror anthology film. And then, in 2012, a very different anthology film with a very different tone, VHS. Created by Brad Miska and Bloody Disgusting, an American horror genre website and film production company, VHS is a much darker horror anthology film. Comprising 6 short horror stories and linked by a found footage theme, 2 of the stories, Second Honeymoon and Tuesday the 17th, were written and directed by Ty West and Glenn McQuaid. Other examples in film and TV that are more than worthy of mention are Roger Corman's 1962 anthology, Tales of Terror, based on 3 Edgar Allan Poe short stories and featuring Peter Lorre, Vincent Price, and Basil Rathbone. The 1963 Italian horror anthology, Black Sabbath, narrated by Boris Karloff. The TV series Night Gallery, a spiritual successor to, or certainly a close relative of, The Twilight Zone, fronted again by Rod Serling and focusing more directly on horror, which ran from 1969 to 1973. Stephen King's Cat's Eye of 1985. John Carpenter's 1993 film Body Bags, featuring the likes of Sam Raimi, Wes Craven, and Mark Hamill, and Southbound, a 2016 road trip horror anthology by a number of the collaborators on VHS. From written fiction through radio, cinema, and TV, and now video games, horror anthology is a format that both creators and horror fans enjoy. And it's a format that has existed for almost 200 years. Long may it continue.
Well, that was a history lesson of how the anthology came about. It's something you have to watch, I think, more than once to be able to fully grasp it. Okay, let's go to playing the fool.
Hey,
What's up, man? Conrad.
good to finally meet you, Conrad. This is Brad, by the way, my little bro.
Hey, man. Want to crack a cold one with me? In The Man of Medan, I play a character named Conrad. And I think initially when we find Conrad, he is a sort of entitled guy, a wealthy American who's on vacation. Where's the old crust bucket skipper anyhow? He's an adventurous guy. He lives off the cuff. He does what he wants.
I'd invite you to make yourselves at home, but
And I think that's kind of fun to play as an actor. He has no censor, he's no filter. So whatever circumstance he's put into, you know exactly how Conrad feels. And so it was kind of fun performance to start out being brash, kind of a silly guy, and just jump in and have fun with that.
so is everybody on board and ready to go?
You're selling, I'm buying. I think Conrad and I have some similarities. I think the sense of humor and the sense of fun are similar between Conrad and I, but I will say that he's a little more aggressive and a little more outlandish than I am. Guys, look, I think we gotta listen to our experienced, beautiful, smart, and beautiful captain here. If she says we should do things
Connie,
the right...
please. I didn't bring you on this trip to get laid.
Wait, what?
I think Conrad's the kind of guy that I would like to be at a party with. You know, I'd like to have a barbecue and drink some beers with him. I don't know that Conrad and I would be best friends. I think we'd butt heads a little bit. Right on, Bradical. I like the cut of your ship.
He's him, there's no difference.
It's jib. Don't ruin it. I think the scenes that I've had the most fun with so far are basically when Conrad is going absolutely crazy. I don't want to give too much away, but there's a scene where these sort of fishermen interact with our divers, with our core crew here, and he's just a bit of an asshole.
Hey, we got damage here. You see this?
We can take care of this, man. It's not a problem. I mean, what do you think? Like $10 cover it?
Oh, whoops, my bad. Let's make it 20.
Okay. Hold on. I got this. Well, shoot, you think it's more like
Wait,
30?
pause.
I can do
I
30.
can't pause.
All right.
Dang.
You drive a hard
The girl is
bargain, but I'm
nice,
with
like,
you. Here,
the
you know
girl
what?
is nice.
Let's just throw in the whole pot.
Just that her character design is not that okay.
That's yours. You
but
go ahead.
Looking at her in real life, she's fine.
Let's go.
She's fine.
No!
He's just got an attitude. He's brash. These people are messing with his group, and he just kind of lets loose and talks trash to them. And as a guy who would never do that in real life, it's a lot of fun to just kind of let Conrad flow, say whatever he wants.
You are an idiot.
They left, didn't they?
That doesn't make you any less of an idiot. You know, the only thing funnier than seeing you try to buy your way out of that situation is watching you put your money to waste.
Got a smile out of you. Worth every penny.
I cut.
One of the most interesting and one of the key moments that sticks out for me is Conrad's decision in the first act of the game, either to stay with the group or potentially just take off. Storm's 8 miles away.
They came here on a boat. Maybe we can take it.
Yeah, it's a speedboat. I can get out through the window. We gotta break these off first.
Too loud. They'll hear it.
We're gonna break them during the thunder. Good call.
Don't leave us here, okay?
And I think, again, this is what's interesting. Depending on how the player sculpts the story, Conrad can become a coward, essentially, and desert his friends and his family, or become a hero and stay. These fuckers need to pay. So that, to me, is very, very interesting. Two very human choices, and depending on how our player decides to live with these characters, can totally change the outcome of the game. So I think that I enjoy when Conrad makes the heroic choice and gets to stick around. He obviously gets to see more of the adventure, but it's just as possible that he tries to save his own life and takes off.
Whew, wow, that was intense.
That's one way to put it.
See, she'll be fine, girl.
You got a better way to put it?
She's fine. The character design.
All the
is
characters
not
do
that
have
okay.
very strong personalities and drives.
Leave!
I think Conrad is the instigator.
Good news, bad news. Bad news? I don't see how this could get any worse.
I think he is the one that really starts the confrontation with the fishermen.
These are kind of... Maybe the fishermen I pissed off earlier.
Oh, God damn it, Conrad.
Great, just great. And the good news?
So I think in a lot of ways, Conrad is there to stir the pot and create drama.
I recognize them.
How was that good news?
I thought you were gonna ask the good news first.
You're such an idiot, Jesus.
Do I prefer playing the good guy or the bad guy? I think that there's fun in both.
She died.
To be honest, I don't get to play the bad guy as much as I get to play the good guy, so I think I relish those moments where I get to play the darker side of things. But I think every good hero has that balance, has that dark side. I think a good guy who only is doing good things is kind of boring.
You just had to piss them off, didn't you?
So I think that there's elements of both sides in both characters. And the best villains are the villains that don't think they're doing anything wrong. Their motivation is not like, oh, I'm a mustache-twirling bad guy. It's like, no, they're doing what's right for them. It just happens to be against what most people think is the right thing to do.
If I can't shoot them as payback, at least I could give them a nice jab with a sharp knife.
Because I'd had some experience working with motion capture and games before, this experience was much easier for me coming right in. I didn't feel like I was jumping into the deep end. What I really like is that all the actors are constantly there all the time. There's the ability to work off each other without the pressure of specific lighting and marks. There's a freedom to that I really, really enjoy. It's been really good. It's been very kind of a free experience as far as like motion capture performance.
You got a funny way of saying thank you, Conrad.
You're a piece of work, Conrad.
I'm not all work, I'm a little play, too. # wink.
Conrad Spoor. Well, it was fun seeing the story from his perspective. At least he didn't take off or die, so I did well. Let's look at creating the curator. This is my biggest interest. Because I like curator. I like him.
Hello. I am the curator of stories. Stories of love and hate, greed and beauty, life
and death.
Stories such as this one.
The curator of the Dark Pictures Anthology bridges between the player and the story, being very aware of what they've done, but also much more aware than the player about what's actually going on in the story and what the context is and what the scenario is.
What do you think happened to this guy?
Now, for the first time, for some reason that he himself doesn't even understand, he's been given the opportunity to talk to somebody, and that somebody is the player. As far as he knows, it's always been him that's done this job and nobody else. And within his library is the story of everybody's life and death. There's even rooms in there that he can't remember ever going in, but he's way too busy to go and explore because there's always another end of life to record and document.
Clothes are so important because they provide an insight into the character. They explain where the character's been, they describe where he's going, they suggest motive. We want the audience to perceive him as having everything completely in control. So all of the ideas of his clothes being tailored to his body, it's really important to us. We worked with a costume designer. He did a lot of research into the authenticity of the materials and textures. He provided us with lots of authentic high-resolution reference. He even gave us material swatches. It was really useful for us because looking at the folds, looking at the visual language of cloth, how do they sit on the character? Is it working from a distance? What's the weight of the material? It gave us a really good platform in order to produce high-quality, realistic materials.
Giving it that depth.
I'm here to record the story you choose to tell.
I think that whenever you're dealing with a realistic human acting performance and facial expressions, that part of it is so key to transferring the emotion that you want to over to the player. Just the definition and detail that you need now is quite challenging.
But there are repercussions.
In terms of cameras, it's quite interesting as well because we've talked a little bit before about how we use skewed angles, upshots, tilts and all that kind of thing to create this feeling of unease and anxiety in the horror moments. And for the curator, it was quite the opposite actually. He's very much in control and he knows everything about the game you're playing and he's very much at home in his own environment. So we took the approach to have a lot more flattering shots, a lot more level shots. You look at him at a natural height. You're never like below or above him and it creates this veneer of control. It's almost like it's very straightforward and he's just delivering you these statements.
You see, we each make decisions according to our own moral compass.
And of course he's British. As soon as we'd established that and who he was and what his personality was, our minds went pretty much straight to Pip Torrens to deliver the performance. And Pip's done a bringing everything that we wanted in the curator to life on the screen. and pretty much everything that we shot was nailed on first take by Pep.
But the truth of this story isn't fixed. Far from it. A story can change a great deal when told from a different perspective.
One thing that was really important for us with the art direction was to somehow differentiate him from the rest of the game that you're experiencing. And with that, we could make a really interesting contrast, because as the player, you might be experiencing all this horror, all this craziness, and all of a sudden you're taken out to quite a different and quite an unusual place. So that was a really fun thing to play with. We tried to play up on that contrast and really signal to the player that there was a change happening. The curator addresses the player directly. He's quite ambiguous, he's quite mysterious. You're really not sure if he's there to help you or hinder you sometimes. And I wanted that to kind of be reflected in the art. The corridor that he is in at the start of the game, and where you see him a lot of times, we wanted to get this feel of an almost infinite corridor that's got this maze-like feel. It's not a set-out space that you automatically understand as a viewer when you see it. You're not sure how long it goes on, how many paths there are, how much of a maze this corridor is. So to light that, we wanted to get this feel where there's not markers that tell you this is where you are right now in the corridor, you've been here before, just to increase that feeling of not being fully aware of your surroundings and add to the mystery of the scene.
And then he goes into his repository, which is a huge vault of books and secrets, with his main desk right in the middle. He's got large windows for light, a skylight above that would also let a lot of light in, a mezzanine floor, a marble fireplace, classical, opulent, sophisticated.
The central feature of the repository is the curator's desk. So we researched how that might look and wanted to make it look a big, substantial piece of furniture. We added a lot of scroll work and detail to the front and rear. All of the things that you'd expect, the brass fittings for the drawers. There's quite a lot of detail went into that, and we thought we might be seeing that quite close as well again. So in the end, it fits nicely within its environment. It references some of the Victorian era detail that you might see on a piece like that.
The creator has the ability to access stories through the pictures on the wall. They're almost portaled through to another world. And that all had to fit within our architectural environment. So we looked at very ornate framings, large pictures that would hang on the walls, that would feel correct and not out of place, and something of this nature.
We thought about where we could include light sources that would be interesting and would put light in the right areas of the room. The skylight's a really good example. We decided that having this top-down ambience would really bed the scene in nicely and create this nice veneer to it, and then add in another number of interesting light sources that we can use for accents, such as a fireplace, such as the candles, that just are there to give you that extra range of colour if you need it. They're there to draw the eye of the player to what we want to show them.
It's not my place to interfere, but I might be persuaded to offer the occasional hint. Here's one for free.
It's a strange place. Who's this guy? Why is he talking to me? Where am I now? I was just on a ship having some horror happening, and now I'm here. And this guy has the appearance of being there to help you, but he seems like such a strange guy, and the environment he's in is so different. There's a certain ambiguity to it, and we wanted the player to question whether or not he's on their side, or whether or not he's kind of playing his own game with them.
The curator's no ordinary person, and his repository is no ordinary place. And you'll get the chance to see him again in the rest of the Dark Pictures anthology.
We will meet again. It's inevitable.
Inevitable. I know. They've put in a lot of efforts creating this curator, and the result being I ended up liking him. The mystery, the way he carries himself, as they said. The guy's name was Pip Torrens, if I'm not wrong. He did well. Well, I've not unlocked this secret. Let's just see. Secrets of the Orang Medan. What's his saving that? So. I think this was the plane that crashed in the ocean, and the one that the guys went and dived to research. I'm not interested in these secrets. Well, That is it. Those are the special features. Bandai Namco. Supermassive Games Production. Back to Little Hope. So we are going to bonus features. Well, we've now unlocked some, so we'll just see the ones we've unlocked. If you want to see the other ones, you can research it up. An interview with Will Poulter. Well, a Will watching a Will's work. What do you know?
Where are we? What happened?
The bus crashed. We're okay,
This
though, just
game,
shaken up.
It twisted my mind. Forget.
I don't remember being in any crash.
It twisted my mind.
Well, here we are on set of Little Hope, part of the Dark Pictures Anthology. Tell me about the characters you play in the game.
Yeah, very exciting. I play Andrew, who is a student on this trip to the town of Little Hope.
You know this place?
No. I mean, I don't think so.
I also play Anthony and I play Abraham, all existing at different time periods in different places.
Is it tough to balance it all and to kind of jump back between these characters as you go through it?
A little bit. I've had a lot of help along the way, and we've been able to, for the most part, separate the three different guys. We have an amazing accent coach on set at all times, so she keeps me in check and puts me on the right part of the map when I stray too far.
Only the devil could create a demon who so resembles me. We do look alike, which I agree is pretty damn weird.
How tough is it for you to separate that and balance it all?
Yeah, it's interesting. Andrew, being the character that I embody for most of the time, was a little bit easier for me. I related to him naturally. He's this socially awkward, depressed student, and I certainly as a student was pretty socially awkward and repressed, so I could relate to him a great deal.
You seem uncomfortable around kids your own age.
This trip is actually my first time away from home.
We picked a real beauty.
Yeah, well, if I ever make it back, I'll sure have something to talk about.
The other character, Anthony, is slightly more immature, comes from a big family. I can also relate to that. And dealing with the family dynamic and playing that sibling friction was also something that I think a lot of people can relate to. And that was fun, another sort of element of the challenge, which I really enjoyed. And then there's Abraham, who's the third character that I'm responsible for.
We have to stop this. The only madness is right here in this court.
And the nice thing that exists in all three of them is this motivation to do good, to do right. And I think all three characters I really had admiration for. They seem to be like morally adept, and it's important to respect, I think, the characters that you play, or at least identify something within them that you respect. And I respected all three of the guys that I played.
I know what must be done here.
And they're all so very different, and even the level of the accents change between them. Is that something that's challenging to navigate?
Yeah, that's been really fun for me. It's been, when playing Andrew, I've been doing a relatively neutral American accent, but we've sort of based most of the action in New England, so it does lean towards the East Coast, and it doesn't take on too strong of a characterization in either direction. The vocal work for Anthony is similar to that, but because Anthony lives within the 1970s, there's been a little bit of tweaking to the accent in order to accommodate the times. and then Abraham's an entirely different accent. It's been a bit of guesswork as far as constructing that accent because there's no recordings of what people sounded like at that time. But I suppose the closest thing to it, we imagine, is a kind of Northern English accent. And my dad's from Yorkshire, so I've basically been ripping off what my dad sounded like when he was younger.
She talked in this really weird accent. Was that even American?
And also with the process itself is a huge, like a learning curve, like you say, with the performance capture. What's the process been like for you? Have you been able to adapt? Do you feel at home now wearing the helmet and...
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, it presents a whole host of challenges. It can get a little uncomfortable.
Okay.
After a while, it can get a little uncomfortable. You never forget the first time you go for a wee wearing that headset, thinking, am I on some sort of screen somewhere in the studio right now? Can people see me weeing? But you soon get used to the headset and the pack that you're wearing. And I think the best thing you can do is try and remove that from the equation entirely and just make it about looking at the person opposite you. Some of the more physical stuff is challenging because if you do want to move around and you do want to add a physical performance to whatever facial, emotional things that are being captured, you have to be careful that the sound isn't being compromised because of your movements. But, you know, in lots of ways, it's been quite freeing too. We move at a great pace. There's little repetition over the same thing. There's lots of variation, but little repetition really. And we have an opportunity to move freely about the space pretty much. We're not confined to marks and we don't have to relight every single moment. It's go, go, go. It's been 100 miles per hour and I've loved the intensity of it. It's been great.
But we're looking for our bus driver.
What?
Have you seen him?
Yeah, that's funny.
What's up with the fog outside? It's pretty weird.
Sure is a thick one tonight.
Actually, it's so thick it's stopping us from leaving.
Yeah, I know that feeling.
You're, trapped here too, then?
It's a whole different pace, I feel, than what you normally when you're setting up a scene and you shoot front to back, and then now it's kind of like you're just jumping in and you're just like stop, start, stop, start. It must be kind of refreshing in a way.
100%, yeah. You can start in the morning and by lunch you've died and come back to life 4 or 5 times, whereas on a film set you would have had to shoot for several weeks to get that material. So you do blast through a ton of content.
Run! Get the hell out of there! Look out!
Yeah, it's gonna be really cool to see yourself in a video game. It's gonna be an incredible experience too. And then now your friends and family members can like play you in a game. That must be a whole weird feeling.
Yeah, that is really weird. It's strange enough seeing my face on screen in anything, but you're really mad and exciting, I guess, to think about being in a video game. I guess that's like a little kid's dream in lots of ways, so I feel very lucky.
It's incredible. Your friends are gonna call you, but like, I killed you.
Yeah, I killed you 3 times. They're like, good to speak to you too, bud. Yeah.
I didn't kill him.
Thanks for the call.
I didn't kill him.
Would you confront your fears or would you run away?
I want to say confront my fears. After this experience, I would confront my fears. Maybe previously I would have run away.
All the wheels are kind of a cool guy, you know.
What kind of place is this?
It's one of those things where what you think you'll do is different than what you probably actually.
In the moment, yeah, 100%.
Oh, I would confront my fears, and then you're gone.
Gone. Yeah.
And lastly, would you explore on your own or in a group?
In a group, I'd have to. One of the best things about this experience has just been the camaraderie that's developed amongst the cast, and over a short period of time, shooting at this intensity, it's bonded us together really quickly, and I've loved being part of the team. A group of us in one room on this crazy journey together, so it's all about exploring as a team.
I'm just gonna say it. This is exactly what goes down in horror movies.
Well, plus than anything in the horror genre, we know what happens when you go off on your own, right?
100%. Don't
yet
do it.
They still do it.
And they still do it.
Let's go check out that room over there.
No, don't go check out that room.
Nope.
Don't go check out.
Or bring someone with you.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah. There you go.
All right, Will.
Tanner, thanks
a lot. Appreciate that. Thank you.
Cheers.
That was nice to watch. I like that guy. Not because his name is Will or anything, just he's cool. At least in the game. I don't know him personally though, you know. I just like the character he played. That's what I'm trying to say. Little Hope art book. Sure. That looks scary. Nothing pained me that I've played this game thinking that they were all real characters, just to find out like they were his imaginations. Imagination or not, that girl's death really bothered me. It was sad. It was sad. Oh, we are done here. We're moving to a different one. Bandai Namco. A supermassive game production. I've actually watched this interview before, but I just didn't record it. Not the whole one, just House of Ashes. Just House of Ashes. I've not recorded it, so that's why I'm doing it again. So, bonus features. Tuesday. Well, let's watch it. If you're enjoying this so far, don't forget to, do the good deed.
When the queen bitch finds out about this, she's gonna flip her shit.
Rachel and I, we know each other.
Sir?
The queen bitch you're referring to is his wife.
He's my favorite character.
Nice work,
Cold
Hotshot.
check.
Ashley Tisdale, welcome. Now, Ashley plays Rachel in Supermassive Games' Dark Pictures Anthology.
I don't
House
like
of
Ashley.
Ashes. All right, Ashley, what can you tell me about your character?
I don't like Ashley.
My character, Rachel, is a CIA operative,
Mm-hmm.
and it is taking place in 2003 in the Gulf War. And she is on a mission to find chemical weapons. So she's pretty badass.
Wow. This is your first time doing a video game.
This is my first time, yeah.
Wow. So how does that process compare to maybe the stuff that you've done, on camera before?
I think that it's just very obviously a different approach to it. I do a lot of voiceover for animation series, so I would say it's more in line with that because you're in a studio all day and it's like you and the script and then also like some of the other characters, but it's just like kind of going through it really fast versus, one scene on a TV show or a movie could take like an hour to 2 hours. So you're constantly going through it. It's a really long process, but it's cool, it's different. You're wearing like heavy machinery on your head and it's like getting all of your facial expressions. So it's pretty crazy.
You're gonna just be like completely like so muscular by the time you're done. Your neck will be.
My neck is super strong.
Yeah, the strongest neck ever now.
Yeah.
And how do you prepare for something like that? Then I feel like as the script, it's not maybe necessarily you're preparing for particular scenes. Everything is so varied. How do you really kind of get ready for it?
I pretty much, obviously read the script beforehand, but I don't spend a lot of time on it like I would another script, like either with a movie or a TV, because it's the same thing of how I approach animations, is that I know when I'm here, I'm gonna be with the director and they're gonna have me do it like multiple different ways because there is multiple different directions the character can go. So if I were to fully prepare, I would maybe like put myself in this like, well, it's gotta be this way. And I wanna feel free to like be able to have them say, do it more sympathetic and do it more angry. And so I kind of don't fully prepare. I just know who the character is, and as long as I know the intention of what I'm saying, then I'm good.
What is it?
The guy who served me, I don't know. He was looking at me pretty strange.
Probably doesn't get to see a woman like you around these parts very often, especially one that's showered.
With any series or film, there's just that one linear path for your character,
Yeah.
and with this, you have the option of
There's
living out
many
the
different
multiple.
arcs.
Yeah, how do you kind of keep it all straight, or keep a a continuity with your character through all that?
Honestly, I don't even remember half of it. I think it's just obviously relying on the director and the guys at Supermassive. They're just really great at knowing where we are in the storyline, and so it's just heavily trusting them. And then just kind of knowing, that it's just gonna go. I can't, there's just so many different areas that it can go, and I could die in one of the things, and I could become a vampire. I can like live. It's just like it's so crazy how opposite.
It's got to be interesting too to think that someone's gonna like play you in a game, and then maybe you'll die, or you'll live, or you'll like the people will be in control of your future.
I know. I think it's gonna be really crazy just seeing my face on like the character. You know, like that's gonna be so wild. It's so crazy how far video games have come. It's so much more cinematic and like the movies that it's pretty wild. It's like beautiful to watch, but it's gonna be crazy.
Now, I guess we have a couple rapid fire questions that I'd like to hit you with as well. Okay, ready for this? Okay,
ready.
so bitten by a vampire or buried alive?
Oof. Yeah, bitten by a vampire.
Oh, really?
Well, then you get to live forever, so, you know.
That is true. Okay, I never thought of that element of it. Things that you've shot so far, do you have a favorite scene?
I think my favorite scene would have to be probably early on between Rachel and her husband. It's a flashback, and it's them in the car, and it's a moment in time that kind of changes everything. And what I love about it is that it really shows who Rachel was and how it changed her to become who she is today. There's just so much happening in the game that it's just like a moment where it's just like really kind of stripped down and one-on-one, and I think it's a really beautiful scene.
What is it?
The guy who served me, I don't know, he was looking at me pretty strange.
You know, my sole objective, Rach, is to make you happy. Doesn't matter where we are or what we're going through, I'll always put a smile on your face. See? I told you.
So how do you get into that? Because I feel like, you know, it's sometimes it's such a sudden change from one scene to the next. So how do you kind of really get into that moment so quickly?
I think how we've done it is that we would start off with the earlier stuff. So
Okay.
it's kind of like you're building to the bigger pieces. And yeah, usually the end of the day, we'll have like the biggest stuff, whether that's us like screaming and fighting, because it obviously drains us and our vocals. So, you know, they know to kind of like have us do the whole like action stuff at the very end of the day.
They're breaking through the perimeter.
You got any bright ideas? Now's the time.
It's really odd of being like, okay, now we're gonna be sweet, and now we're gonna be screaming,
It's
and then
hard
you're
to
gonna be
go
dying,
backwards,
and then you're gonna be
yeah.
back alive again, and this is a touching moment, and you're gonna die. Yeah,
Yeah.
and the first time it's gonna be like a strange experience, kind of going off on your own and acting out that kind of
Yeah.
separate.
Yeah, it's definitely a very interesting process to watch, and it's different from anything I've ever done.
Has it been hard to navigate doorways with the camera on? Like, do you find your...
Oh, no, I take them off right away.
Okay.
Anytime I can get a break, because it is a heavy thing, and so it's just like most of the time I'm sitting on the couch with it, like holding the helmet up, because it's like, you know, it's like a weight on your head. So
yeah.
it's pretty crazy.
It's expensive equipment. You don't want to like bang it on a door frame.
No.
Well, now that they've got you in the game, they can put you in anything.
I know. I'm so excited because I've never been able to play something like this.
Yeah, okay. Well, that's good. Cool.
Thank you.
And ladies and gents, that was interview with, I forgot her name, but I said earlier I don't like Ashley. It doesn't mean I don't like the person. I just don't like the character. The character, that's all. Cause my lip is drying fast. I don't know why. Cause when I managed to save her in the end scene, she said something very annoying. She was like, well, I can take care of myself. She said something very annoying, and I was like, wow. After all the trouble we went through just to save you, this is what you're gonna see. You see? So I don't like the character. But the person herself did well. Like the person, like I forgot her name. Okay, the name is the Ashley Tilsdale. Oh, okay. That's the name. Was that her game name? Whatever. Well, she did well playing the character, but as a character in the video game, I don't like her. Interview with Monster Maker. the making of the vampire.
The creature has powerful claws and fangs formed from hardened, unidentifiable tissue. 2 of the incisors appear grossly malformed and
Sorry
discolored.
about that.
Blood is like nothing I've seen.
We always like to base our stories in some sort of real-world truth, a piece of folklore or a piece of mythology. With vampires, obviously, there's so much to choose from cultures all the way around the world. So rather than pick one particular legend, we thought it would be fun to create a monster that ties all of those legends together in some way. So we had an idea for a creature that lives underneath the ground and emerges every few years. Our vampire is actually an alien parasite. It invades a host body. The creatures that you see in House of Ashes, the winged demonic creatures, were actually once an intelligent race of cosmic nomads traveling through the stars on this big generation ship. They somehow picked up this alien parasite and it ravaged through their crew, and their ship went out of control and crash landed into prehistoric Earth, where it was buried under the ground in what is now the Zagros Mountains. Being a parasite, this alien slug needs to find a host body, a living body or a recently dead one. Once it invades that body, it grows inside it, killing the host if host is still alive. And its tendrils reach out into the host's brain and hijack its central nervous system, sort of reanimating it. It then goes on the hunt for blood. It feeds on the adrenaline in blood. So in order to get the adrenaline pumping, it needs to terrify its prey. So it shrieks at them and drags the kill out until the blood is really, really pumping, and then it strikes.
You keep lookout. Fuck!
Look out for what?
We wanted to show the viewer different forms of the creature and make them think that initially it's a demon, then they think that it's a vampire, and then finally the revelation that it's an alien.
So just to explain where the parasites have come to infect some of our game characters, this shows a game character who's going through different stages, is infected, starts to affect the character, and there's a final look from that where the fangs are coming through the skull. So that's one of the developments of how our classic vampire is actually a host. Another example of that is an Akkadian warrior who's been taken over by the parasite, and again the fangs have come through, the vines are poking through the head. This human is now being taken over, his skin is dying, the parasite is trying to grow within. But we progress that into looking at the design on the alien demon, I call it. This had to have very unique elements that came through from the head design. So we've got a very animalistic head here, but also we've got the fangs. These fangs are coming from the parasite that's within, so the fangs are coming through. It's almost deforming the shape of the host.
Oh, shit. What the fuck happened to your teeth, buddy?
We refined that further to what is our final head, where the ear is a part of the skull and it flexes open. A bit like a frill lizard, where the frill of the canopy comes out, our head is actually moving apart. And we've got illustrations that show that, where the head is dormant and is concealed, but then as it hears and wants to resonate, the skull expands open. And that then allows the creature to hear and pick up on anything within the environment.
With characters, it's always good to base at least some of it on anatomy that we recognise, and that provides a foundation for the vampire. It's bipedal and human in its structure, but we've just changed things, tweaked them, made them a bit more alien. So, for example, the ribs joined together at the sternum to form a rib cage, but we've expanded it out quite a lot, and some of the ribs are fused together to make bony plates. It's just to suggest that it's had a very different evolution from a human. We tried a version with human-style legs, but in the end, we went for a dog-type leg. It just made it more creature-like and more threatening, and we added bird-like talons on the toes, just to give it some natural weapons and make it into a predator. We didn't want to focus too much on bat reference, because we were trying to steer away a bit from the classic bat-like vampire. We did go for 2 sets of bat-like wings. One of the shots in the game is of the vampire jumping down from above, backlit with its wings out in an attack pose. And when we saw that pose, we decided to add an extra set of wings attached at the hip joint. It just really helped that silhouette.
The environment is very interesting because they can use not just the floor, they can fly as well. They can walk on the walls, but they've got claws. So imagine something really interesting in a cave where you've got creatures coming towards you, from every angle. I think that visually is something impactful and very interesting to look at, and scary.
One of the interesting parts is the finding of those nuances and details that really bring the character to life. How does it move? How does it behave and act? We had motion capture, and then we had the more traditional computer animation keyframing. On the motion capture side, there were a variety of different setups that we tested. We had arm extensions, and then we had various different leg stilts that our creature actor used. But what was apparent when filming this was that it really limited his movement. So in the end, we decided not to use any of that, and he just performed himself. Basically, this gave him the freedom to really express that physicality in acting and gesture.
They react to sound like bats. They hear you. They hunt you.
The vampires have these head plates, these bony kind of gristly structures on their heads that click and vibrate, kind of like a bat's echolocation. They're used to survey environments and to locate prey. We went through a lot of different iterations, and we tried a lot of different things. Like I think I sampled keyboards and mouse clicks, and then used a scooter fender and a wet trainer. And it made this organic, clicky, squeaky sound. And then I had a friend of mine in the States take a taser to a bunch of meat and a bunch of like organic material, and it came out a lot more aggressive. It just sounded meaner.
I got something for you.
And then the biggest thing that we had was this little tiny drum and a rod with fishing line in between it. So when you twisted a rod, it made this clicking and popping sound. So that ended up being one of the main tonal layers for it. But none of them quite fit right. But once we put them all together and like layered them all together on top of each other, then it started to actually work as a holistic organic thing.
Something entirely new to House of Ashes, which is a classic horror movie trope, is the vampire point of view shots, which we use a very wide lens, and we use some perspective distortion on those shots, which helps sell the power and hunger of the vampires as they're chasing the soldiers, and it helps make the soldiers feel very small and very weak. And doing so, it also helps us as the player realise that these vampires are inhuman, and that when we're watching what they're doing, they're bouncing off of walls and they're climbing on the ceilings and flying. At any time in the game, the players could be running through an endless maze of tunnels, and we use very tight shots on these with a lot of handheld, a lot of tilt again, to emphasise this claustrophobicness and this tension and not being able to see what's chasing them. And it's in complete contrast then to later on in the game where we see these grand environments that they uncover, which could be a temple, a city, or things like that, that we have these wide shots that really sit still and just let the players soak in that environment.
This is the most complex creature that we have ever animated in the studio. But the challenge is more than a challenge, is the fun to do it. Because it's not a real creature. You can push it in a way that you can use your imagination to make it more interesting.
We're facing an enemy we know zero about. An enemy of unknown size from their home turf. Sucks to be us.
That was fun. I didn't talk because I don't want to interrupt what they are saying. Well, that was an interview with the monster makers. Dark Pictures, this studio, this company, they've outdone themselves. The stories, the way it twists your head, it's nice. It's nice. The Dark Pictures Anthology. So far, all the interviews were nice. My favorite interview was my favorite interview to watch. I said my favorite interview as if I was the one that was interviewed. My favorite interview to watch was Will something. I forgot his other name. Okay, we are moving to bonus features. This is The Devil in Me. the most psychologically awful game I've ever played. Reason being, looking into the mind of a killer was disgusting. Second one was how the killer survived in the end. Third one was the choices that they were giving me to save or let someone die. Those choices were difficult. Well, surprisingly for us, I've unlocked everything here. How do you know? Let's look at interview with Jesse Buckler. The Devil in Me.
My name is Kate Wilder. I've got a master's in criminal psychology. I'm an investigative journalist and hope to make a difference.
Hey, we're here with Jesse Buckley to talk about Supermassive's brand new game in the Dark Pictures anthology, The Devil in Me. So let's start at the beginning. Tell us a bit about the character that you play.
I play a character called Kate Wilder, who is a presenter who's part of this documentary team who are doing a show about the serial killer H.H. Holmes.
America's first serial killer confessed to 27 murders. The number grew significantly. Nearly 200 lives.
I'm a serial killer documentary watcher. Is that your jam too?
Yeah, I'll watch a serial killer documentary.
Right, it's weirdly relaxing. Like, okay, cool,
yeah,
I can
it's
chill
kind
out.
of fascinating why we're all addicted to kind of those stories.
We need a plan. Forget his games, traps, all that bullshit. Think about the killers we've covered. There's always a weakness.
I'm not playing detective, I just want to survive.
Playing detective is how we survive.
So what interested you in the role of Kate?
Well, to be honest, I've never played a video game in my life, and I had no idea what the hell the world was.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So that was firstly why I kind of was like, oh yeah,
Red
that
flag.
sounds new.
Red flag.
And fun. And yeah, and then I read
Don't
the
get me
script
wrong.
and
Red flag just
talked to
like
Alita, who's our director, and it seemed like a really lovely
I'll keep
thing to
quiet.
be part of and something new and fun. And I can't believe how they create this world.
And action.
You know, usually I just get a script and it's like 70 to 100 pages long, but there's like 300 pages in one script. It's unbelievable.
So as you kind of mentioned, the game has multiple branching paths, so your character could end up in any number of situations. What's it like to film a scene, multiple times with different endings?
What I've found is like you can only be in whatever strand you're in at that time and figure out the emotion of it at that moment, because then you can offer up something completely different when you go into a different strand. And it's a very immediate experience, which I guess is also what a player will feel when they're doing it as well. So I just kind of try and keep my head in where we are right there at that moment. And if I was trying to think of what was happening in the other strand, it would be a disaster.
It must be really hard, yeah, because you kind of have this mapping, I suppose, in your brain of what the outcomes could be, and then just trying to stay in that moment. It's very interesting stuff. So many things can happen to characters in the Dark Pictures anthologies. How do you make sure that Kate is always Kate, no matter what she's kind of faced with?
Well, I guess before we started, we did a big read-through with everybody, so it was good to kind of get a handle on who she is in the context of the environment she's in, but also the relationships that are in the world as well. It just kind of reveals itself from the script, and I just kind of let her run free and see what
That's so cool,
happens
though.
to her. Yeah, I don't think anybody has continuity in themselves. I don't anyway.
It must be very difficult. Yeah, really difficult. And that's it. I guess it's quite good fun to then go, okay, let's go with this and see where we end up.
Well, I think also Kate lives on the knife edge of she has a genuine obsession and curiosity about serial killers. So there's part of her that's kind of running towards it and part of her that's running away from it, and all of them have come to be curious about H.H. Holmes, but also with that, you're kind of living a real life horror as you're going into this world.
So, come on, Charlie. What do we know about this guy?
And everybody's fantastic, and they're all such distinctive people, and they all somehow genuinely feel like a crew,
Nice, yeah.
You kind of have the kind of riffs.
Charlie is thinking. This looks a lot like a temper tantrum.
And the new fledgling loves, and then the kind of creeping horror of your life. What are you doing with your life?
Sounds
You
very
know.
familiar. Yeah, I think I've been there at 3 a.m.
What is all of this?
Okay, so let's talk about the setting that Kate finds herself in. I've heard something about murder castles. I'd like to know more.
So the production company that Kate works for, Lonnet Entertainment, they get a mysterious call from a stranger who says that he's basically made a replica of H.H. Holmes' murder castle.
Wicked.
And invites them to come and document it because he knows that they're interested in serial killers. And Lonnet Entertainment, which is run by a character called Charlie, is kind of hard up, but only Charlie knows that. And so even though Kate is a bit kind of resistant to go because it just feels like another kind of fuddy-duddy thing, they agree to go to this island as one last kind of hurrah.
It sounds like absolutely nothing awful is going to happen. It sounds like a perfect setup.
I think I'll have a cup of tea.
Delightful. Yeah, lovely island. Very nice.
Look. Years are the wine that fill the cup of time.
So in the game, you've got quite a limited inventory. Which items would you take into the house if you could take anything?
I'd probably take, like, I think, look, all these mad people are just in need of a hug. So I'd probably take a bottle of wine and just be like, mate, let's just sit down, have a glass of wine, talk about what's going on here.
Get Charlie's fags. Come here.
Have
Let's
a
just
fag.
calm
Let's just
down.
calm down. That's my weapon of choice. I'd kill him with kindness.
Well, you could at least start with the wine, and if that doesn't work, you've got the bottle. So, I mean,
it's
yeah,
perfect.
You're done. You're done.
And if not, I could just drink it myself and have a lovely time.
Some kind of belt with 3 or 4 of them attached. Off you go. It's all going to be fine. And if it's not fine, you're not going to know about it.
Yeah.
Done. Perfect. Good choice.
Think it's okay if we pour some wine?
God, please do.
So you've mentioned the chase scene with the other girls. Was that fun? That genuinely was fun to be running and scared and all of that?
Yeah, it's always fun. I mean, I think everything's kind of fun. So, thank God it's not something that happens regularly in your real life. So when you get to be part of something where it's super heightened and surprising and otherworldly things can happen, and you've got these 2 excellent kind of birds beside you who are like fighting off the demons, and you're genuinely scared and you're kind of doing it together, it's it's brilliant.
Move your ass! Go!
I've been around mocap. I've seen mocap. It fascinates me. What was that like? And more so, what's it going to be like to see your face in a video game?
To wear a mocap is like, I mean, you just feel like you've got a huge nose because you've got this cycling helmet on, but then it has a huge beak at the end where there's a camera. And sometimes when they're putting it on, you can see the other actors already kind of lined up, and it's very close. It's very scary.
No! You're gonna kill me!
But yeah, I think it'd be super interesting. I don't know, maybe I'll look a bit better. They'll doctor me off or something. Kate's just a better version of me. Yeah, it'll be really interesting.
It's going to be very cool. As far as, let's say, traditional acting versus video game acting, what were the differences? Was there a huge kind of difference between the two?
I'd say the main difference is just the speed at which you work when you're making a video game. You still have the same intention, and narratively it's the same kind of experience because you're creating characters together and you're creating a world together, and our wonderful director is like interacting with us as a film director would. And also you're on a stage where there's little square boxes and there isn't a costume, you know, that's something that's added later, and all that's being caught is the emotions on your face.
It must be quite intense when it's just focusing on your face. That must be a real, like, I don't know, like intense experience.
Although, to be honest, like the scripts they're really good, and so I don't really try and think about that too much, whatever the situation. I think if I did think about it, it would be an awful disaster.
Yeah, may change the situation entirely.
You just kind of listen to everybody else that's there and get on with it.
We need a plan. Forget his games, traps, all that bullshit. Think about the killers we've covered. There's always a weakness.
You suggesting we invite him to tea and psychoanalyze?
I'm suggesting we use our heads.
We play his games, we'll lose.
It's our best shot.
Well, that was interesting. They talked a lot more than the other guys. They didn't enjoy this one that much, but it was okay. Reason I said red flag, you see, only not everybody that plays video game are gamers. I don't know if it makes sense. And she was like she's never played a video game before. So I felt in that moment like it would have been better if they gave the role to someone who has experience with video games. But yet still, it's not like a red flag stuff the way you are thinking about it. But yet still, it's cool. She now has experience acting video games. So she may now have interest in playing video games. You know, that's why I was just saying red flags. But let's move on. America's first serial killer. And I just hope this is just a story. Because if it were real, then we have a problem on our hands.
Torture chambers, secret passageways, vats of acid, and deadly vaults. In 1895, Chicago police unearthed horrific evidence of torture and multiple murders at the sprawling castle of H.H. Holmes.
It must be just a story. It must be just a story.
Masquerading under the guise of caring doctor, kind husband, and prominent businessman, H.H. Holmes was a contemporary monster, designing his buildings solely for the disposal of human bodies. Torture Doctor, Monster of 63rd Street. H.H. Holmes was America's first serial killer. Just south of Chicago, the suburb of Englewood was thriving with commerce. The train station itself had 9 leading lines of railway and over 100 trains stopping there every day. No other suburb of Chicago had this luxury.
Dr. Henry Howard Holmes, a pleasure to meet you.
Arriving in Chicago, Holmes finds work immediately at the E.S. Holton drugstore, located at the southeast corner of 63rd and Wallace in Englewood. Several months later, Everett Holton dies of supposed natural causes. Then Claire Holton, his wife, disappears after selling the drugstore to Holmes. Owning the drugstore, Holmes had a steady flow of cash. He would often purchase and resell goods and properties under his numerous aliases. In addition to scamming creditors, Holmes obtained his funds from other phony inventions, such as a mineral water elixir, which in reality was obtained from the city's water supply. 1888, Holmes secures a lease on the vacant property across the street from the drugstore, the southwest corner of 63rd and Wallace. It is here that Holmes will make his horrific dreams come true. He will construct a building for which the entire world will remember him.
Fantasies start very young. And so what he did then was he took a step furtherance of his fantasies to make it reality. And probably, if we had done a little bit of investigation back then, we would have seen things like his plans, but not just plans for a building, because we'd expect to see architectural plans, but plans for his torture rooms.
For the suburb of Englewood, the building Holmes is erecting at 63rd and Wallace is a massive construction project. Day after day, passers-by stop to gaze at the spectacle of the many laborers working together to create a magnificent new edifice in their neighborhood. Englewood residents were so impressed with the massive building that they named it the Castle. From its outward appearance, it seemed rather normal. But like the duality of Holmes, the exterior and interior of the building were extremely different.
Holmes himself was the architect of the building. He was the only one who knew its design. There was this constant turnover of workers on the building. He would hire a mason to put in a wall and then fire the guy, or hire somebody to put in part of a staircase and then fire him. And there seemed to be several very sinister reasons behind that. One was he managed not to pay a lot of these people because he was always claiming that they were doing incompetent work. But the other, much more insidious reason was that no one except him really had a clear idea of what the structure of the interior of the house was. He had a huge bank vault installed in one of the rooms. And the way he did it was he put the vault in first while the building was under construction, and then built the room around it. And he bought this thing on credit and then refused to pay for it. The bank company said they were going to repossess the vault. Holmes said, well, come on in and do, but if you damage my building in any way, I'm going to sue you for everything you're worth.
The bottom floor of the castle housed a pharmacy, jewelry store, barber shop, restaurant, and a blacksmith shop. Behind this innocent facade was a Gothic house of horrors designed by the mind of a monster.
It's just a story, right? It's just a story. I hope it's just a
The
story.
third floor seemed innocent enough, containing rented rooms, legitimate offices, and Holmes's own bedroom. But it was the second floor that contained 35 rooms, many specifically designed as killing chambers.
It's just a story. It's just a story. It can't be real. It's not real.
Disorienting unsuspecting victims, the labyrinthian construction contained numerous staircases and doorways that led nowhere. For a quick method of hiding a victim's body, a concealed greased chute and trapdoor led directly into the basement of the castle. The basement held the most terrifying rooms, resembling a medieval torture dungeon. Acid vats, quicklime pits, and a crematorium disguised as a glass-bending furnace were Holmes's favorite methods of immediate body disposal. After cleaning and mounting their bones, Holmes would profit from his victims by selling their skeletons to local medical schools and universities. Holmes would make a killing in Chicago, financially and literally.
It must just be a story. It must just be a story. Because if it's not,
May 1st, 1893, the world's Columbian Exposition is open to the public in Chicago. Spanning 600 acres, sprawled out along beautiful Lake Michigan, the magnificent fair is a monumental sight to behold. Over 20 million people from around the world would attend the dazzling World's Fair between May 1st and October 30th, 1893. Holmes utilizes the World's Fair as the perfect opportunity to capitalize on his demented design of the castle. Located only a few miles from the World's Fair, Holmes's castle was perfect lodging for tourists. Holmes decides to rent rooms to visitors of the fair. He entirely renovates the upper floors of the castle, bringing in the most modern furnishings and luxuries, all purchased on credit, which Holmes had no intention of repaying. In addition to placing newspaper ads for rooms to rent, Holmes visited the fair with several of Benjamin Peitzel's children, preying on elderly women who flaunted their wealth, making sure he invited them back to the castle for a warm night's stay in a soft bed.
They're not calling their relatives, telling them where they're at. They just know that they're going to Chicago to see the Columbian Exposition. Perfect victims, because they're unknown in the city. Their relatives, wherever they came from, know that they were coming to Chicago, and they never came back. Now, how do you start to find them? They don't even know where they stayed. Perfect, easy victims. I'm sure some of them got in and out of his place with no problem. And others, they walked in and they never checked out.
Some of the rooms had been completely lined with asbestos to make them soundproof.
Hidden in Holmes's office was a master control panel which connected to gas lines leading into airtight sleeping chambers. Holmes would lead his victims into the rooms, lock them in, and turn on the gas, asphyxiating them while watching their demise.
Let me out! Holmes, let me out, please! Holmes! Holmes! Holmes, please! Holmes!
At the height of the World's Fair, Holmes masterfully juggles his castle businesses, renting rooms, dodging creditors, selling skeletons, and attending to the needs of the many women in his life.
I have had many young ladies in my employ, most of whom are still living in and about Chicago, whose parents and friends know only too well that far from being their seducer, I have done much to materially help them in their narrow lives.
Being a personable, attractive young doctor and businessman, Holmes won the hearts of many women throughout his life. At one point, Holmes managed to secretly have 3 wives, each never knowing of the others. In 1890, Julia Connor became Holmes's employee and mistress, living at the castle with her daughter Pearl. When she became pregnant and demanded marriage, Holmes agreed on the condition that she allowed him to perform an abortion on her. She agreed. Neither Julia nor her daughter Pearl were ever seen again. Just a week later, Holmes sold a clean, articulated skeleton to the Hahnemann Medical College for nearly $200. In 1892, Holmes acquired another mistress, Emmeline Sigrand, and employed her as private secretary. Holmes sent Emmeline into the vault to retrieve some papers and sealed it, suffocating her to death. Several weeks later, the University of Chicago acquired a female skeleton from Dr. Holmes. In 1893, Minnie Williams became Holmes's new private secretary and eventually his mistress. Minnie was the beneficiary of a property in Fort Worth, Texas, valued at over $40,000. Holmes murdered Minnie and her younger sister Nanny after having Minnie sign over the Fort Worth property to him. In 1894, Georgiana Yoke became Holmes's third wife. He married her under the name Henry Mansfield Howard. Like his other legitimate wives, Georgiana lived out her entire life. On July 19, 1895, Chicago police enter the Holmes castle. The world would now learn of the horrors that the castle had kept secret for so very long. As disoriented detectives and police searched the upper floors of the castle, the true depths of Holmes's evil were waiting in the basement. Among the death devices in the basement of the castle, investigators find piles of mixed human and animal bones, bloody women's undergarments, and a wooden dissection table saturated with dried blood. Chicago police were inundated with names of people reported missing from the World's Fair. 50 missing people were eventually traced to the Castle of Horrors. The evidence, blood and bones found in the basement posed a problem for 19th century criminal investigative techniques.
It was very difficult to go and identify even the bones as being human in origin, because with the very small fragments you didn't have enough of the identifying characteristics to be able to make that ID.
The world is now calling Holmes the Monster of 63rd Street, Torture Doctor, and the Modern Bluebeard. Overnight, Holmes transforms from arch-swindler to arch-fiend. A Chicago journalist calls Holmes a multi-murderer.
The Holmes case generated this incredible amount of national attention and really international attention. Really in his own time and in America, Holmes was much more notorious and more widely known than Jack the Ripper, who was a contemporary of his. Then as now, people were very, very fascinated to sort of visit the sites of these terrible crimes. And his castle became a kind of tourist site. And there were various people who were wanted to take it over and turn it into a kind of murder museum. And then just before some impresario was about to make it again into this tourist attraction, it burnt down. Somebody burnt it down. I mean, it could have been, who knows, some outraged citizen who didn't want this to become some very morbid tourist attraction. Holmes's trial was kind of the O.J. Simpson trial of the day. It just generated this huge amount of publicity. The case had become a kind of national obsession. Of course, there wasn't CNN or Court TV back then, so it couldn't be covered quite as relentlessly, but it was covered very, very extensively. There were true crime books and pamphlets and all kinds of stuff. And Holmes himself had become a sort of folk figure almost, you know, the sort of national boogeyman.
The courtroom fills for the final verdict to be read. Holmes becomes extremely nervous when not one of the jury members looks at him. In his entire criminal career, this is the moment Holmes never believed would occur. He is found guilty of murder in the first degree. Herman Webster Mudgett, alias H.H. Holmes, would be hanged on May 7th, 1896.
While Holmes was in jail, awaiting the execution of the sentence, he was made an offer by William Randolph Hearst, supposedly for a significant amount of money, to provide his confessions. Holmes, who had already issued about a half a dozen completely self-contradictory versions of his crimes, clearly at this point felt he had nothing to lose. He was going to die anyway. In this confession, he did a complete about-face and portrayed himself as the worst monster who ever lived. He just basically confessed to every crime anybody had ever suspected him of and threw in a few more for good measure.
He's reliving the fantasies after the fact now. He's reliving the fantasies of things that he did.
She was very willing to do this, and prepared to leave the vault upon completing the letter, only to learn that the door would never again be opened until she had ceased to suffer the tortures of a slow and lingering death. The partial excavation in the walls of this room found by the police was caused by Latimer's endeavoring to escape by tearing away the solid brick and mortar with his unaided fingers. I closed the door and turned on both the oil and steam to their full extent. In a short time, not even the bones of my victim remained. It was the footprint of Nanny Williams that was found upon the painted surface of the vault door, made during her violent struggles before death. Only one difficulty presented itself. It was necessary for me to kill him in such a manner that no struggle or movement of his body should occur. I overcame this difficulty by first binding him hand and foot, and having done this, I proceeded to burn him alive by saturating his clothing and his face with benzene and igniting it with a match. As soon as he had ceased to breathe, I cut his body into pieces, and by the combined use of gas and corn cobs, proceeded to burn it with as little feeling as though it had been some inanimate object. I immediately took them to the Vincent Street house, and compelled them to get within the large trunk, through the cover of which I had made a small opening, and ended their lives by connecting the gas with the trunk. Then came the opening of the trunk, and the viewing of their little blackened and distorted faces. Then the digging of their shallow graves in the basement of the house. The ruthless stripping off of their clothing, and the burial without a particle of covering save the cold earth. I am convinced that since my imprisonment, I have changed woefully and gruesomely from what I was formerly in feature and figure. My features are assuming a pronounced satanical cast. My head and face are gradually assuming an elongated shape. I believe fully that I am growing to resemble the devil.
On the gallows, just before he died, he recanted. He claimed that the confession that he had published was a complete fabrication.
The extent of my wrongdoing in the taking of human life consists in contriving the killing of 2 women that have died at my hands as a result of criminal operations. That is all I have to say.
H. Holmes is hanged on Thursday, May 7th, 1896, just 9 days before his 35th birthday. At 10:25 a.m., he is pronounced dead.
He was very concerned that after his execution, his body would be dug up either by medical men seeking to dissect his brain and find out what made him tick, or just ghoulish sort of, souvenir hunters. And he requested that he be buried within a big slab of concrete, which he actually was. One of the things about Holmes is that nobody knows for sure how many people he actually killed. Although in my researches, which were pretty, I feel, thorough and extensive, it seemed very clear to me that he murdered at least 9 people. There have been stories that he killed 50, 100, countless people, particularly in Chicago at the height of the World's Fair.
How many people did Holmes actually murder? Most likely, no one will ever know. Holmes and the many other people that came in contact with him are long gone, having taken the answers with them to their graves.
I was born with the devil in me. I could not help the fact that I was a murderer no more than the poet can help the inspiration to sing. I was born with the evil one standing as my sponsor beside the bed where I was ushered into the world. And he has been with me since.
In all seriousness, I hope that it was just a story. I hope. Because all the Anthology games I've played, this is the most darkest, psychologically torturing, mind-boggling, game or story I've ever had. I've ever experienced, because I played it. It was an experience. Dark pictures, you guys need to calm down. Not every dark story you guys need to chase after. Some of the dark stories, let it be. Let it be. Because as I was listening to all these things about H.H. Holmes, I was just speechless, shocked, confused. There's no word. But I wasn't feeling good. I wasn't feeling good. Making the murder castle.
So, what do we know about this guy?
He's rich, he's a recluse, he's obsessed with H.H. Holmes.
We're going to a property he inherited from a relative. Some of the rooms are full recreations from the murder castle. Dumet has blueprints, documents, artifacts.
Totally sane, I'm sure.
There are various elements we knew we wanted to explore when designing the hotel. From developing areas and set pieces that generated a constant sense of uneasiness and tension, to memorable trap rooms that forced the player into frantic life and death decisions.
I didn't like this part. I didn't like this
We
part.
took a lot of inspiration from Holmes' original murder castle, as we wanted to capture the way that Holmes' castle was created to disorientate and confuse his victims.
Welcome to the World's Fair Hotel.
As cunning as Dumet is, not everything in his castle runs like clockwork anymore. His operation has become so vast that he can't maintain everything, and the Lonnet crew have turned up at just the right time to exploit that.
The production design for the hotel needed to reflect the original design, utilising a Victorian-style facade and castle turrets, interiors with ornate mouldings and panelling, being made larger to accommodate the game's intention to be used as a vast labyrinth to create fear and horror. This included the hidden rooms, sliding walls, trapdoors, and secret basements, but with extra central monitor rooms and death rooms, all hidden from the guests, providing multiple layers and multiple levels to explore, unveiling the horror within. Special attention was given to the design of the areas such as the lobby, the bar area, and the dining rooms to provide an authentic, believable Victorian hotel, bringing a feeling of magnitude and foreboding to intimidate the player.
Guys? Is that you?
The hotel guest rooms were designed to be opulent yet aged, in keeping in style with furnishings and fittings, yet having additional modern electronic window shutters installed to trap the victims. Secret observation rooms were also built adjoining, with hidden doorways to enter. Corridors were cleverly designed to include mechanical sliding walls hidden within the Victorian framework, used to change the layout of the labyrinth throughout the hotel.
Fuck.
The murder inventions designed within locations included the suffocation and crushing rooms, furnaces and acid baths. The monitor room was a newly constructed area, deep within the core of the hotel. This room allowed Dumet the full control of the labyrinth and its workings.
In The Devil and Me, we make use of a range of mechanics new to the Dark Pictures series to help convey the unsettling mood and threat of the hotel. With an expanded focus on exploration, the player spends a lot of the time exploring the hotel's labyrinthian corridors, and as each character revisits a shared area, the feel of it changes. Each character has their own unique light source. Erin and Jamie, as the practical sound and lighting techs, have fairly straightforward torches, with Erin's directional microphone providing an additional small light when in use.
Is she a man or a woman?
Mark, the camera operator, has his camera flash, lifting the darkness in short bursts and providing mini jump scares as the player suddenly sees something out of the gloom. Kate lights her way around with her makeup mirror, providing a small amount of light to fumble through the corridors. And then Charlie's sole light source is his own cigarette lighter, casting the hotel in its flickering orange light and barely really lighting anything at all.
Jamie, over here.
Each character experiences these shared areas differently through this, adding to the sense of the familiar hotel rooms changing with each visit.
It's amazing.
The Ellen Hotel was originally built in the 1890s. It was converted into a spa later on until it was abandoned and finally chosen by Dumet for his murder playground. Some parts had been restored, like the rooms the characters stay in and the lush lobby and bar areas on the first floor. We work closely with concept art and art direction to create distinct color palettes and ornate assets that made those areas more inviting while still leaving something unsettling about their imperfections. But elsewhere, we could show the hotel and spa's original treatment rooms and the indoor pool which had fallen into disrepair and other thematically different places. Our second challenge was getting into Dumet's head. We knew that he was supposed to be a very meticulous man. He's the sole architect of this place and proud of his creations. Some rooms are deliberately left in disrepair. We created them with the base layers showing, and we scattered building equipment around to tell the narrative that Dumet still has plans for them. Others he had completely purpose-built. That's where we used a mix of old brick and breeze block materials next to each other to create contrast. And on top of that, there are traps everywhere. Some of the most interesting areas to create were the ones which were supposed to be off-limits to hotel guests. We wanted to show the stark contrast of his personal space versus the one he hunts people in. The team went as far to even design Dumet's handwriting, and we used that on boards and documents to show more of his personality. There's storytelling in every small detail.
Lighting in Devon Me is a bit different from the previous Dark Picture games, since we have more explorations and more playable areas in the game for players to freely explore. We had to slightly adjust the way we used to do lighting by adding some new stuff, such as adding more guide lights in the environment for direction, or add some interactable light fixtures that you can trigger on and off by walking closer or away from them. So there are 4 types of lighting styles in the hotel. The first one is the regular hotel areas where everyone should feel safe and cozy. We try to use more bright, warm color lights with different elegant light fixtures. And the second one is the areas that are either under constructions, used as Dumet's workshop, or places only lit by moonlight or should be pitch black. We used cooler temperature lights or even blue lights for these kind of areas with very low light intensity and very heavy volumetric fog to enhance the claustrophobic vibe and to elevate the tension. So the third one would be the control room where Dumet watches and controls all the activities in the hotel. We want this room to be especially bright, like an industrial warehouse with a cool, eerie mood to separate it from the other rooms. And the last one is all the rooms that are designed to be slaughter stages. Killing is like creating art to Dumet, and he wants all his artworks to be presented epically with audiences, classical music, and beautiful lighting setup. So in these areas, unlike the others that have more neutral color in the lights, we tend to artificially light these areas with either theatrical lighting or use high contrast saturated lighting setup, so that we know something is going to happen.
If we don't do something, both of them will die, Mark.
We wanted to provide players with a truly realistic historical sonic experience whilst inside the murder castle. We researched multiple properties and buildings built within the same period as the original Chicago murder castle. Authentic door foley and sound effects elements were high on our priority list. We recorded multiple door openings, closings, handles, rattles and squeaks. Throughout pre-production, we'd seen all the variations of emotion characters would be displaying when using the doors, ranging from calmness through to blind panic and incensed rage. All these emotions could be channeled into the performance we recorded. Another element of the soundscape we went into considerable detail recording was floorboard and stair creaks. Virtually every step we took provided us with a distinctive and unique sound. We recorded these creaks in 3 states: running, walking, and walking slow. To further add to this, as the characters climb higher inside Dumet's murder castle, the creaks will become more frequent as you enter unfinished rooms, exposed walkways, and the structural integrity of the hotel becomes more dangerous and unstable.
In terms of the music, we chose various 19th century pieces of classical music and opera to accompany the murder scenes. These would have been the pop music tracks around the time of H.H. Holmes, providing a cognitive link between past and present. Classical music and opera accompanies a lot of the murder scenes, often playing through a gramophone or a tannoy, which is then fed back through our bespoke impulse responses to allow the music to naturally echo throughout the cellars and corridors of the space.
What is this?
We took a similar approach as well with the abstract sound design, including nods to classic horror films with really discordant, unnerving piano impacts and bowed metal interspersed with electromagnetic recordings, synths and ultra-modern distortion to provide that juxtaposition and that link through time between the historical setting and the modern day story.
Designing the hotel as a play space presented different challenges than previous Dark Pictures games. We've gone from quite open environments in House of Ashes and Little Hope to a more enclosed one with the hotel. The ability to revisit previous environments at different points in the story, with different layouts and different emotional states, meant that we had to collaborate very closely with each other to make sure we designed each area to cater for every requirement. We had to think how a lit corridor would feel if multiple characters roaming around it, versus the same corridor drenched in darkness with just a singular player character. Empty hotels are inherently eerie, and it allowed us to play with the idea of liminal space to try and create a murder castle that felt uncanny. It's something that felt truly unique.
It's me! Get in here!
Jamie? Thank God.
I don't have anything to say. I'm impressed.
What's up, my people? It's Joe Morello here with another podcast talking about the beautiful thing that we like to call murder. As ever, I'm joined on the show by my wife. Hi, Michelle.
Hello, Joe. Hello, listeners. What wicked delights do you have waiting for us on the coroner's slab today, Joe?
I'm glad you asked that, Michelle, because we're going to go deep with this one as we talk about the Shoe Shine Killer.
A new killer on the block.
And we have a cameo appearance from your friend and mine, Manny Sherman, the Beast of Arkansas.
What a lineup.
That's right. This is a case that's going to blow the listeners' minds because I believe, and I'm just putting it out there, that maybe, just maybe, local law enforcement got this one wrong.
Sounds like a great show.
You got it. But before we dig a little deeper and get to the juicy bits, I want to introduce a very important character in this story. FBI Special Agent Hector Monday. Let's take everyone back to Wednesday, January 15th, 1997, when Chester Bell of the FBI reported how Hector Monday and his team had apprehended the Beast.
Good morning to you all.
My back
I'm
is itching.
Chester Bell, Assistant Director at the Federal Bureau of Investigation. At approximately 0530 local time, a team led by Special Agent Hector Monday and supported by law enforcement officers conducted a raid of a motel room just outside Birmingham, Alabama, to apprehend Manny Sherman, the man known as the Beast of Arkansas. Using state-of-the-art psychological profiling techniques, Special Agent Monday and members of his task force not only identified their suspect, but predicted his movement with unerring accuracy. I'm delighted to say, we have our man.
Now, I've got something here that's going to put a different slant on this case altogether.
What is it?
I've managed to get in my possession extracts from the interview sessions between Agent Monday and Manny Sherman.
No way! How do you keep getting hold of stuff like this?
I have my sources, but I can't reveal them, not even to you. These tapes are being played for the first time anywhere in the world outside the actual interview room. Are you ready?
I think so.
Play the tape.
Manny Sherman, born January 1, 1956. Come on. You know all this. What do you want? What's this? Huh. You've been doing your research, haven't you, Special Agent Monday? What are my favorite television programs? Describe my first pet? What were your friends like as a child? What is this? You're taking a survey, you're trying to learn something. Would it kill you to be direct? You wanted to know what inspired me? As if I wasn't an original? Well, maybe there was one man I found myself a little fascinated by. Henry Howard Holmes. Why? Because he was numero uno. America's first. The guy invented the trade. He set the benchmark, you know? Learn your history, Monday. Read a book. You think because I stuck a blade in some people and get off on it, I'm not smart? I, allegedly killed 13 people before you got smart enough to find me.
That was disturbing.
Did you hear the way Manny spoke? I mean, he was like channeling every sick psycho you've ever heard of. But he saved the best for last. None other than H.H. Holmes himself.
America's first serial killer.
The very same. Let's play the next tape.
I had to build my own little castle, just like Holmes did. Most people like me do their business where their target lives. That's just asking to get caught. Holmes had the right idea. It's all about the honey trap. You bring me some smokes, like I asked? Lucky Reds? Yes. Oh, these are like gold in here. Damn, that's good. So yeah, the honeypot. Holmes built a hotel about a mile from the World's Fair and called it the World's Fair Hotel, and bought ad space in papers alongside ads for the expo. Rubes from far and wide assumed it was the official hotel. Ma and Pa Kettle. Take a train in from Nebraska. Takes 3 days. They roll up into that joint ready to rest, get to their room, and whoops, what do you know? Holmes had a gas pipe hidden under the bed and poisons them. Or maybe he pulls a trap door on them. Maybe he separates them and makes one watch through a window while he slits the other's throat. That's the advantage of a honeypot. No shortage of targets. That's why I picked all those houses north of the airport. That whole neighborhood was scheduled for demolition, and yet all those lovely realtor ladies must not have gotten the memo. Call up as a contractor. Tell them I'm flipping. Have them meet me out there. And look at that. We're the only two people for miles. The first couple times I'd wait for a plane to fly over just to hide their screams, but after a while I realized they could scream as loud as they wanted. No one was going to hear a thing. That's what I remember most. Those screams. You can try to understand why I am the way I am. You can forensic science up all the data you want. But you'll never know. You'll never know, Monday. You'll never really know how it feels when you watch the fire burn out of somebody.
After capturing Manny Sherman, our man Monday was suddenly the hottest ticket in town. He couldn't go anywhere without someone wanting to throw a case his way.
Everyone loves a winner.
Let me lay this out for you. On September 3rd, 1997, the local PD found the mutilated body of an unidentified man in his early 50s behind an apartment block in the South Loop district of Chicago. Then, 2 weeks later, another body washes up on the East Pilsen River. With the exact same modus operandi, local law enforcement realized they were dealing with a serial killer. They needed help. So in the late fall of 1997, Agent Monday found himself in the Midwest heading up an investigation that would soon become synonymous with his name. Let's hear from Field Agent Danny Haywood on his first impressions of meeting with Agent Monday.
I first met Agent Monday on October 12th, 1997 at O'Hare Airport when I was assigned to welcome him off the plane. I'd actually met him once before at a lecture on criminal behavior given a few weeks prior here in Chicago, but I doubt he remembered me from that. I was pretty nervous as the new kid on the block. I was just out of training, and I'd been assigned to drive around this big shot criminal profiler who just cracked the Arkansas case, which was all over the national newspapers. My first impressions were that he was tough.
You hear that, Michelle?
Actually met him once before at a lecture on criminal behavior given a few weeks prior here in Chicago.
That puts Monday in Chicago at the time of the original killings.
Exactly. Okay, dial back a few weeks to the summer of 1997. Agent Monday is in a tiny interrogation room in Birmingham, Arkansas, conducting his psychological investigation into Manny Sherman. But he's doing more than that. He's picking Manny's brains, learning from him, being challenged by him. Let's play tape number 3.
A whole carton this time. You trying to get on my good side or something? Yeah, I think I'll save them. What, no questions? What's going on with you, Monday? Well, you seem different. Ah, I see that glimmer in your eye, you little devil. I can keep secrets, man. We all have them. That prosecutor is trying to get numbers out of me. Know that? Of course you know that. Numbers. They got Holmes for 27, but we know he was closer to 200, right? Can you imagine that? I wish I'd had the time to try and beat that. Sure, they know about those nice realtor ladies. They got families, after all. But the numbers the DA is asking me about, I think he knows there's some people out there, rejects, misfits, the kind of people that when you see them coming, you look the other way. Does anyone notice if they go missing? My father always told me to leave my mark on the world. I never knew what he meant by that. Not until I watched that first girl bleed out. I call it art. That's my signature on society. It's not murder. It's an aesthetic response to what this world has made me. Ask people to list serial killers, and they'll drop 5, 10 on you before they can think of any more. Ask them to name the detectives that caught those killers. No one is going to say a damn thing. No one knows. No one cares. No one makes movies about them. No one puts their faces on t-shirts. No one gives a shit. I've left my mark on the world. Have you?
Holy shit! I did not see that coming.
I told you this stuff was good.
Where did you get this material?
Sorry, I gotta protect my sources. But, Michelle, I've got more evidence you haven't heard before. My source has given me autopsy notes from the coroner as she examined the second murder victim.
John Doe number 2. I'm assuming you've read my report on the first one? Similar MO, unidentified male with multiple stab wounds. Looking at the lower abdomen, the wounds are consistent with those of the first victim. The shape of the entry wound suggests it's a strong probability that this is the same murder weapon. Looks like we've got a souvenir hunter here. This time the left ear has been severed. Clean incision. Probably a scalpel or a razor blade. Very tidy. Nice job, actually. Very little bleeding. The deceased had probably been dead for 30 to 40 minutes when this was done. This differs from the earlier MO. If you remember, that John Doe was still alive when the teeth were removed. That would have created a lot of noise and mess. This guy is learning.
As much as you, the viewer, may be enjoying what you are listening to, I, the creator of this video, hope it's just a story. I just hope it's just a story.
Oh my God, that's gruesome.
Right? Investigating violent crime is gruesome. It's stressful and it can get to you. Agent Monday started seeking professional help. We have here a transcript from one of the sessions Monday attended with Dr. Isabella Garcia. Michelle, will you grab that piece of paper over there and read it for us?
Sure. Psychological assessment conducted by Dr. Isabella Garcia. Patient name, Monday, Hector. Behavioral observation. Hector arrived at our scheduled appointment 24 minutes late. Once we sat down and began the session, he struggled to maintain eye contact. He found it difficult to articulate his feelings and was terse and guarded throughout. Hector has been working long hours and, as a result, isn't sleeping well. Hector spoke about his recently deceased mother and displayed evidence that he hasn't yet fully come to terms with her death. I strongly recommended a course of antidepressants, but he is resistant to this idea, believing that it would have a detrimental effect on his capability with regards to his current investigation. Hector describes his work in immaculate detail, and contrary to earlier in the session, his thought content is both coherent and logical. He is displaying an unhealthy obsession with his work, but his recent bereavement may be the underlying issue.
So what do we know? Agent Monday is at his lowest point. He's struggling with the case, and he's being guided in his actions by a convicted mass murderer. This one is really going to give our listeners something to remember. It's the fourth and final meeting of Agent Hector Monday and the Beast of Arkansas, Manny Sherman. Hold on to your hats. This one is going to get tasty.
You want to know what it means to be a killer? You ever been to the art museum downtown? They got this painting by a guy, I forget his name, famous painter. He did portraits of slaughtered cows hanging on hooks. You take a normal person to a slaughterhouse, and they will puke their guts out. You make it into a painting, and suddenly it's art. There's no difference between the two. No, not really. Don't look at me like that. You know I'm right. You get it. I know you get it. You got to do something that matters. Make people feel something they've never felt before. Shatter the illusion that any of us are really in control. Think of the most profound thing you've ever done. The most beautiful thing you've ever created. And I promise you, it's nothing compared to watching the life bleed out of someone. To see the fear in their eyes. To feel them pawing at you for release. To hear them pleading, begging. That moment when someone realizes they are at their end. That's when you feel it. That's true art. That's what you have to be. An artist. A sculptor. An architect. I see the gleam in your eye, Agent Monday. You're not fooling me. Oh, look at you now, huh? Am I gonna be your first? Well, come on then, huh? I'm right here. This room is soundproof. You don't even have to wait for a plane to fly overhead. There you are. I see you now. Oh, not bad. Not bad at all. Bare hands can feel good, huh? But the blade makes for such a prettier picture. You've got potential, Agent Monday. If you truly want to be an artist.
Monday flipped? And what was all that stuff about being an artist?
That's how Sherman saw himself.
He was a killer.
Which is why we covered him in episode 117, Michelle. Okay, just listen to this. On June 17, 1998, neighbors reported hearing screams coming from Agent Monday's apartment. I've managed to get hold of the actual audio from the body mic worn by the first responder who answered the call.
Chicago Police, Mr. Monday, this is Chicago Police. Can you open the door, please? Mr. Monday, I'm Officer Stanley with Chicago Police Department. Can you hear me, sir? Agent Monday? Fuck. Oh, dispatch, this is Officer Stanley. I need assistance at 8 West 50th Street, requesting immediate backup. I'm in Agent Monday's apartment. There's blood everywhere and a body. I need immediate support. I think...
Plot twist. So Monday was actually investigating his own murders. He was the shoeshine killer.
I bet you didn't see that one coming.
Did they get him?
You're racing ahead now, Michelle. Let's hear the moment Officer Richie Martinez cornered Agent Monday.
All units, this is dispatch. Be on the lookout for a male suspect believed to be the shoeshine killer. Suspect is FBI Special Agent Hector Monday. He may be armed and is highly dangerous.
Dispatch, this is Officer Martinez. I found Monday's car, requesting backup.
Officer Martinez, what's your location?
A warehouse on Park Avenue, Fulton River. Looks abandoned.
Officer Martinez, backup on its way. Hold your position.
Copy that. Shit! He's seen me!
Officer Martinez, hold your position.
Shit! We have a situation. Dispatch, the building's on fire.
Fire department on their way.
He's still in there. You read me? Copy. He's still in there.
Monday got sloppy with his car?
Maybe. Or maybe Monday wanted that police officer to find it.
Well, I don't get it.
He knew the roads were being watched. His car would have been pulled over the moment he left the city. So he needed another way out. Let's hear how Chicago AM reported events in their morning bulletin.
Good morning, Chicago. We begin today with some breaking news. Chicago police today confirmed the body of a man found in a fire at an abandoned warehouse in the Fulton River district to be that of missing FBI agent Hector Monday. Monday has been identified as the shoeshine killer, whose recent killing spree struck fear into the hearts of locals in and around Chicago. A spokesperson for Chicago PD confirmed Monday murdered 4 victims, including yesterday evening police officer Patrick Stanley, a dedicated veteran of 22 years. The fire was brought under control shortly before 5 a.m. this morning. The body recovered at the scene was burnt beyond recognition, but police identified Monday from dental records.
So, that was the end of Special Agent Hector Monday.
Whoa, hold your horses. You think it's so difficult to forge dental records? Monday was a teeth puller, remember? He probably had a collection. And he was a highly motivated FBI field agent.
You think he faked his own death?
I don't know. But this case has one more twist. On February 16th, 2001, there was a incident at the Chicago PD Evidence Management Facility. Michelle, can you grab that report next to you and read it out for our listeners?
At 0600 hours, I, Officer Frank Hooper, discovered that one or multiple individuals had gained unauthorized access to the evidence room at 1612 West State Street. Among the missing items were assets recovered from the apartment of former FBI agent Hector Monday, including books, clothes, notes, surgical tools, and dental equipment. Wait.
Keep reading.
We are currently running with the theory that this was the direct result of souvenir hunters looking for a piece of memorabilia from the case. End of report.
Interesting, right?
He set the whole thing up?
In that list of stolen items, reportedly, was a piece of paper with a list of names.
Aliases? What are you saying?
I'm not saying anything. I'm just putting it out there.
You think Agent Monday is still at large?
Well, if he is, maybe he can call into the show and let us know.
Our lines are open.
Well, that's all we have time for this podcast. We're taking a short break for a certain anniversary trip next week, but we'll be back after that for more murderous content to delight you all.
Until then, this has been Michelle Morello.
And I've been Joe Morello. Thank you for listening. Please like this podcast and hit the subscribe button, or I'll send Michelle over to brutally kill you all.
I have an axe at the ready.
This is Joe Morello saying be safe, don't split up, and keep looking behind you.
Good night.
Good night.
The coolest but weirdest podcast. Well. Oh, one last thing. Should I call that dioramas or dioramas? Whatever that is. So these are something I can buy or something. Okay, so like that's it. You just buy them and that's it. Um so what do you do with them? Like you just buy them and that's it. Okay. Well, our job here is done. I know I can play this game again to find different outcomes, to save those who I was not able to save. But it's a long game. I sit down for like 6 to 7 hours. Well, I'm not gonna. If you wanna see other outcomes, search it up and watch it. We are moving on to a different video. It's been good on this journey so far, the Dark Pictures Anthology. Man of Medan, it was okay. Until I found out they were hallucinating, and I didn't know. I thought we were facing real enemies and I was ready to kill, but I relented. And in doing so, I was able to save at least almost everybody. The woman's death actually pained me. In Little Hope, same thing, the woman's death pained me. But a twist of mind was finding out that I was dealing with hallucinations all along, imaginations. And the whole twist was very nice, very nice. In House of Ashes, it was straightforward. No left or right then, it was straightforward. So it was good in its own way. In its own way. And we have The Devil in Me, the most dark part of Dark Pictures Anthology. I don't like it. Not that it's not a good game, it's psychologically like bad. It's bad. Looking into the mind of a killer, looking into the mind of a serial killer, and I hope it's just a story. I'm not even interested in searching it up to know whether it's a story or not. I just hope it's a story because it's pretty dark. It's pretty dark. Well, we are done here. I don't have anything else to say. Thanks for your time. Take care of yourself. Make the most of your day. And I will see you in the next video. And before we leave, don't forget to smash the like, the subscribe, and the bell notification. I said notificating. It's funny. Don't forget to smash the bell, sub button, and the notification button, okay? And anything else that you need to smash in your surrounding. I guess we'll meet later. I'm just over talking at this point. Warrior out. Take care.